Good morning. It's Vijay here. Today is 16 December 2025, Tuesday, which a lot of bulls and bears were waiting for. I suppose yesterday the bulls thought that they have won, whereas the bear said, okay, let's see what happens at the end of the day in the US. And US was down. Before we go to the market movements and market commentary, let's look at the main topic today, whether a weaker rupee is good or bad for India, especially so in this time and age. Yesterday, for instance, rupee hit an all-time high at 90.8, and so there are people worrying on one side, and people on the other side are saying it's a good thing to happen. So let's get the facts straight. For instance, rupee generally depreciates in India about 5%, not more than 5%. Usually it is 2 to 3%. Depends. If you take a weighted average for over 5 years, it will probably be around 3.5%, 2 to 3.5%. But sometimes it goes down by 5%. And sometimes it's manipulated to keep it at a flat rate. For instance, in 2022, when our fiscal deficit went to a record level, the RBI governor then decided to peg the rupee to the dollar. When I say peg, it means that he kept the rupee stable to the dollar, say somewhere around 83. And this he kept from July 2022 till he went away somewhere in early part of this year. So it was not moving at all. So there was hardly a movement, let's say about one rupee, not even a rupee actually. So you had this percentages drop dramatically. One thought rupee was strong, but that was not the case. And sooner or later that had to give, and the new RBI governor who came decided to let it loose. Now, letting it loose also has got its own repercussions, like how you try to manipulate it and keep it in a in a narrow band. If you look at it, our 1991, we had actually reduced the value of rupee against the dollar because that time we needed exports, we needed India to open up, we were opening up, so that was a good strategy at that point of time. But generally, people want a stable exchange rate. It is not necessary about how good, how weak or strong it is. A stable exchange rate is what is important. The previous governor tried to, maintain it as a stable exchange rate, even though things were not good in the underbelly. Now that for that we have to pay a price. Let's see what happened this year. This year, for instance, in the 9 months, beginning April was the, let's say, the bottom because of the Trump tantrum, and from there we have gone up 8.3%, which is huge. It's much above average. So it was 83.78 in April. Today we are talking about 90.80. But let's come for a shorter time frame. During Deepavali, it was about 87.6, and now so there is a 3.6% gain or loss, in this case, loss of rupee in just 3 months. This is unnerving. Of course, it is nowhere near the 27% loss which we had in 2013 when we are bracketed with the fragile five, and at that point of time, the US Fed wanted to taper their bond purchases, but nothing like that is happening now. Yet we are losing steadily. It is we are losing, we are bleeding, slowly. People not understanding it. So typically, if you look at, why would rupee depreciate? What does it do? For instance, there is a Bank of America note recently. I'm just quoting from that. It says a persistently weak rupee affects India through five major channels, influencing everything from inflation and imports to exports, corporate margins, and even investment decisions. While short-term effects are mostly negative, such as raising costs and additional economic pressure, a weaker rupee can also support long-term growth by gradually shifting consumer and producer behavior, encouraging more domestic demand. So please note, in the short term, it is supposed to be negative, but in the medium term, it's supposed to be good. This is the strategy which India adopted in 1991 when they actually weakened the rupee deliberately. Now, here in this case, also we are now doing a deliberate weakening of rupee. Now, in the short term, it is affecting, and hopefully in the medium term, it should be okay. But we mark in the market look for short term fixes, and you are seeing FIIs are continuously selling. because there is no incentive for them to buy when our strategy is to weaken the rupee in the short term, which means whatever they buy today, their value in dollar terms will go down. So if they sell, they'll get less amount of dollars. Sorry, if they buy, they'll put more amount of dollars. So and they will get less when they're taking it out. So it makes no sense for them to come into the market. They want a stable exchange rate. So we do not know when the stable exchange rate will come because that is left to the RBI's strategy. Till then, one can expect you will see selling continue from the your FIs and no coming into India. In the secondary market, at least they're not doing it. Primary market, they may have a different strategy altogether, but I'm looking at secondary market, we don't have hopes till we have a stable exchange rate. So for people who think that markets will go up now in a significant manner, I don't think, I think they'll be disappointed. I don't think that is likely to happen. But what is also unnerving, more unnerving in my opinion, is how has rupee fared against other currencies. For instance, ruble has improved by 34% against rupee. Yesterday I mentioned about Afghan currency went up by 25% against the rupee. So even Afghanistan is beating rupee. Then you take Mexico, it is 19.87, it is strengthened. The Mexican currency is strengthened. You take Great Britain pound, 12% is strengthened. Singapore dollar, 11%. Then if you look at US dollar, 7%. Hong Kong dollar, 7%. JPY is the weakest currency in the world, one of the weakest currency among the major economies. That is also appreciated by 3% against Indian rupee. So when investors, global investors consider various countries to invest in, when they look at India, which is not having a stable rupee and depreciating, they are most likely to hold back. However much you may say about India becoming great superpower by 2047 and all that stuff, one has to be careful that one doesn't mix politics with economics. Economics clearly says nobody will put money in a place where where the currency is depreciating. So keep that in mind when you are going into the market. So now what happened yesterday? Yesterday, Nifty came off the 2 days gains. It closed in the negative, while Bank Nifty closed in the positive. And Nifty mid cap also came negative. Small cap was up for the third session. So there is some buying in select stocks, especially December end. There will be NAV adjustments, so there will be some buying. FMCG did well. Basically, Britannia and Marico did well there. PSU banks and IT went up. IT because of rupee, and PSU bank because there is this proposal from the government to increase the FII stake to 49%. That has again come back on the table, but I think that will come only in the budget, if any. I don't think there will be an ad hoc move, but you never know. Governments can do whatever they want to. Auto sector was down. I think also to some extent affected by Mexico's 50% tariff on India. So pharma and realty also were subdued. What did the FIs and DIs do? FIs continued to sell at 1468 crores. DIs bought a little more than 1792 and at 1792 crores. So there is not much of activity from the third force, only 300 crores. Thank God for that. Yesterday also was interesting for 2 points. One was the buyers had just vanished from the market. It looks like we had one of the lowest volumes for a long time. Below 80,000 crores was the total volume in NSE. And then the good thing was that the declines were lower than the advances. So that is a good sign for the market, but negated by the low volumes. So we look at Wall Street. Wall Street also closed negative, though the futures were higher, about 170 points when we were closing. So I thought today we'll get a gap up, but then Wall Street had its own way of doing things, and then it has come down. And today we may see a gap down. And things are not very stable because Japan wants to sell its bonds from New Year. So that is an overhang on global markets. So global markets are expected to be subdued going into this fortnight. Brent crude weakened. Gold and silver bounced back, especially silver, which had been hammered on Friday, bounced back smartly. So gold and silver should do well. There are a lot of brokerage reports on metal stocks. So those metal stocks now will be in focus and they may do well, like Hindustan Copper, aluminium, and zinc. Those kind of companies which are dealing in these metals should do well. And particularly other stocks, if you look at outside the metal ambit, is Intellect Design Arena. They have tied up with some 35 Canadian credit unions. So that is positive, but they also uh, come off an MOU. They're signed with some UK company. They say they're not going forward, so that may be a negative. So this will be volatile. BL Kashyap got a big domestic order. Newgen Soft also got a big software order, because for Newgen is a small company, so about 16, 17 crore order is a big one. Iron Exchange got a big 205 crore order. Kim's Hospital is opening a 350 bed hospital in Bangalore, and that this hospitals will should do well, because many P's are coming into hospitals. Zydus Life, there's some positive thing from FDA. Delivery has launched an intraday shipping in Mumbai and Hyderabad, so that may be sentimentally positive. GMR airports have reported numbers which are looking good. Arvind Smart Spaces is opening up a large Bangalore residential project of 550 crores. HCL Tech has expanded its digital transformation partnership with Orobay Technology, and Lemon Tree has signed a 80-room hotel in Nepal. These are the positives and negatives. But today, as we go along, as we go into trade, the Gift Nifty talks about a 33-point drop. I don't know whether it will be 33, but I'll be continue to be cautious. Unfortunately, I would love to be bullish fully, but I'm now, as I said yesterday, I'm bullish 75%. 25% I will rotate my stocks for short term, look for 5% gains. Swing trades will be 25%. 75% will still continue to be in investments, and they will be in the metals. Yesterday also we bought silver, we bought aluminium, we bought copper, and we bought zinc and gold also. So we are there bullish, but in a particular part of the market. So whatever you do today, I hope it is successful. Thank you for joining me.